Sqilah. Enhancing Careers. Chapter 4. Flight Operations Management. Flight operations is managed by a separate department which manages various facets of the operational side. However, its primary responsibility is to ensure safe, legal, and efficient operation of airlines' aircraft. The responsibilities of Flight Operations Department also includes key role in the recruitment of new flight deck crew, training and scheduling of crew to ensure that they meet all licensing and regulatory requirements, and can execute high-quality operation in a safe and efficient manner. Investigating, monitoring, and disseminating information on all accidents, incidents, and other occurrences involving airlines' aircraft come within the scope of this function. Operations Control Center (OCC). Airlines operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week and 365 days a year, and hence airlines maintain a state-of-the-art operations control center which is led by a very senior duty officer of higher rank who is responsible for the whole of the network operation. He is supported by many senior managers of the subgroups whose combined responsibilities are to try to maintain airline schedule integrity. The purpose of the operations centers is to bring all of the work groups that have a voice in the operation of the airline under the same roof to allow a better flow of communication. There are many departments that are represented inside the operations center of an airline. The decisions that get made in this office literally run the airline and directly affect its passengers. This office is so important to the operation of an airline, there is even a backup facility that is prepared to run operations to the same level of efficiency if the need ever arose. It is the brain of the airline. Flight Dispatch. The Flight Dispatch Group is the largest group whose job is to prepare the flight plan for all of the airline's flights. Flight dispatching involves careful intricacy from monitoring a flight operation to basically orchestrating an aircraft's entire journey. They do this by looking at all of the weather at both the origin and the destination as well as the weather at the higher altitudes. If necessary, they will plan a flight to avoid as much hazardous weather as possible. Dispatchers are monitoring the flight from the time that it departs the gate until it pulls into the gate at the destination city. During the flight, if any distress situation occurs, the crew call their dispatcher on the radio for assistance. Flight dispatchers must have extensive knowledge on safety, aviation, meteorology, which is vital for the flight dispatcher to properly perform the job. To be a dispatcher, a license from the Aviation Authority must be obtained. Dispatchers are trained in subjects such as movement control, flight planning, aircraft situation display, flight tracking, load planning, aircraft data link communications, and irregular operations. Sector Managers. The sector managers are a subgroup within the dispatch group. These managers are in charge of a specific fleet of aircraft. They work with the aircraft routers and the crew trackers to ensure that their flights are running on time. If they have a problem with one of the aircraft in their fleet, they have a few options: delay, swap, or cancel. The decision to delay, swap, or cancel a flight lies solely with the sector manager, but they seek the opinion of the crew tracker and the aircraft router since their decision affects both of these other subgroups. Aircraft routing. This is the group of people who assign the aircraft to fly the current schedule that marketing has published. They also route aircraft to specific cities for their scheduled routine maintenance. They also evaluate aircraft swaps to ensure required maintenance checks do not get missed. Crew scheduling and tracking. Crew-related costs are second only to fuel costs, typically accounting for about 10% to 20% of an airline's cost base. Schedule changes, both voluntary and involuntary, make the best laid-out plan go awry, resulting in inefficiencies in crew supply chain. This leads to avoidable hidden costs and revenue leakages. Crew Scheduling Group manages crew roster while providing preferred schedules to the staff and helps airline by controlling the operating costs and improving the crew working experience. This group also aims at maximizing crew utilization while ensuring crew legality, reducing the number of schedule discrepancies, reducing in-hotel and transportation costs with an integrated crew tracking system that provides more accurate tracking of crew roster changes. A crew tracker is responsible for keeping track of the pilots and flight attendants, especially in an irregular operation or a diversion. They are constantly monitoring and covering crews to help keep the airline running on time. Crew accommodations. This department manages all of the hotels and transportation to and from the airport for the crews. If there is a diversion or any other irregular operation where the crew exceeds their duty day, they will also set up the hotels and transportation for those crew members. They also make sure that the hotels meet all of the contract requirements for the flight crews. Meteorology. The meteorology group forecasts surface weather for the airline's major hubs across the world as well as turbulence and the upper air wind patterns. Meteorologists also create upper air depictions for all of the areas where airline flies and also create SIGMET-like alerts for flights. They also forecast for major weather systems, like hurricanes and winter storms, which could impact operations. The sector managers use these forecasts to preemptively cancel flights out in front of the storm. Airport Customer Service. Airport Customer Service is the group that advocates for the passengers. While the office as a whole is focused on customer service and safety, this group is especially concerned with what happens to the customer during delays or cancellations. When a flight gets canceled, this group identifies what needs to be done with the passengers and gives input to what flights should or should not be canceled. This group also helps arrange tight connections and acts as a liaison between the OCC and the airport stations. Duty pilot and in-flight duty manager. These two individuals are a 24-hour resource for anyone in the office. Both the duty pilot and in-flight manager represent their respective work groups in the OCC. The duty pilot is the primary flight ops liaison in the office, and they truly give the pilot's perspective on situations. The in-flight manager is our go-to for any problems with flight attendants. Load control. Load control is responsible for the weight and balance of all of the airline's flights. They ensure the pilots have the correct gross weight for their aircraft as well as the correct trim settings. The document that they send to the flight crews also has the weight limit for the different runways that are available as well as the V-speeds that the pilots use to determine when the aircraft is at a safe speed to take off. Load control also produces the fuel loading message to the station. They also alert the dispatcher when a flight is overweight. Radio. Radio provides air-to-ground communication between all flights and their dispatcher. Radio also transcribes all of the radio conversations between a flight and its dispatcher. Radio also sends non-operational information to flights at their request. Corporate Security. The Corporate Security Desk is the operational security liaison for the whole airline. They monitor security threats to the airline, its customers, aircraft, employees, and facilities. They lead the resolution of passenger security issues, and they assist the stations to meet the regulatory security requirements. Maintenance Coordination Center. The MCC is the second largest group in the operations control. They monitor and take corrective action with any company aircraft. They are grouped by fleet, and each fleet of aircraft have 1 to 4 experienced A&P mechanics that provide real-time technical assistance to mechanics on the ground as well as pilots in the air. They are also in charge of the routine maintenance of the aircraft and moving parts between different cities to fix aircraft. Solution Center. The Solution Center provides support for all of the hardware and software that is used in the office. If there is a computer problem, they will be at your desk in a matter of minutes to help resolve the issue. They make sure all of the employees in the OCC have operating tools to do their jobs in an efficient manner. Navigation Database. This group oversees all of the different airways and navigational aids around the world. They build routes for the different city pairs and review different NOTAMs for any changes to the database. They are in charge of effective surveying of all new routes and making available all navigation, performance, and other necessary operational data to flight crew to ensure safe air and ground operations. They also provide and obtain overflight permits and landing permits for different airports, especially airports where we do not routinely fly. ATC Coordinators. This group is also a subgroup of dispatch. Their major function is protecting the airline's interests when air traffic control places restrictions into some of the busiest airports. They also monitor and communicate to dispatcher about ground stops, ground delay programs, and required and recommended reroutes. Airline flight operations depend on ground infrastructure and services, some of which are provided by the airline itself, but most of which may be provided by airports or ground services providers such as air traffic control, ground movement control, passenger screening for security purposes, baggage/cargo handling, fueling, catering, cleaning, waste management, mechanical maintenance services, de-icing and anti-icing of aircraft, taxiway, and runway surfaces. Passenger airlines typically require ground personnel to manage passenger and baggage check-in activities. Airlines are also responsible for crew and passenger safety during flight and are required to implement national and international operational safety requirements while in flight. Contingency planning. Contingency planning is very important, and no matter how well prepared you are, the unexpected will happen and you have to deal with it. Airports can be closed for security reasons, runways closed due to damaged or a disabled aircraft blocking a runway, airspace can be closed for VIP state visits, and so on. All these can disrupt an airline's operation, and plans must be in place to recover those operations. Flight Operations Training. Flight Operations Support offers training in performance and weight and balance. The subjects covered in Flight Operations Training are Basic Aerodynamics and Aircraft Performance, Form of the Earth and Basic Navigation, Basic Meteorology and Weather Considerations, Standard Flight Planning Procedures and Protocols, International Law, Flight Regulations, and Aviation Governing Agencies. Factors governing takeoff weight and speed. Takeoff climb and obstacle clearance. Reduced takeoff thrust. En route performance. Landing performance. Fuel planning.